Alright guys, today I want to talk to you guys about batteries. As it turns out, I received tons and tons of comments and questions down in the comment section of each video, and sometimes there's just, I cannot answer in quick comment form, you know, some of the questions that are being asked. And so, as it turns out, I realized that I didn't do a very good job explaining the whys and the hows on the whole harvesting cells from dead laptop batteries thing. And so I want to do that here. Even though I've talked about this somewhere in one of the like 80 plus videos that talk on my channel that talk about batteries, it's hard to find it, right? Like even for me that I made it and I uploaded it. So what I'm going to do moving forward is make a series of videos talking about this battery topic. And I'm going to concentrate on small bite-sized questions and topics so that can be in the title. Then it's going to be easier for you to find it and for me to find it also, so that we can link it every time someone asks. So let's do that now. All right, today's first question is, why is it that we can find good cells on dead laptop batteries? That's a good question. Let's look at that. All right, I don't really have a laptop battery here. I took them all apart. I'm just gonna use this paper and some cells to try to explain how is it that we find good cells on dead laptop batteries. Look, laptop batteries are a few configurations, and most of them are gonna be like this. This is the most typical configuration, right? And this is negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. And they're usually connected in series this way. These three are parallel, these three are parallel, and these are all in series. If you add them up, it's gonna be 11 volts nominal. They usually have some kind of circuit, right? Pretend this is a circuit that controls this whole thing, and that's essentially, it's a BMS. It's a battery management system. And all of these wires are connected to that circuit board. The most negative, the most positive, and then all the balance leads. And then this thing also has a thermistor, which is essentially just a temperature sensor that will let this circuit know if the batteries are too hot, and it will disable the whole battery. If these batteries get out of balance, this thing will also disable this thing. If these cells get past a certain number of cycles, I don't know how many, but after a certain number of cycles, then they also disable the whole battery. No, maybe because of safety, but most likely it has to do with disabling the battery so you can buy a new one. You got to remember, this is a capitalist world. Things are made to only last a certain amount of time so that you can throw it away, get a new one, and the company keeps making money that way. So, of course, we don't know exactly how much of that plays a role in the design of this circuit. But this circuit's there, it's a BMS, and it totally controls your batteries. How is it that after they're dead, we can find good cells? Here's scenario one. BMS could be potentially defective. It stops working. It's like essentially a little computer. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing works 100% of the time. So sometimes this little circuit is just gonna not work. And that might be the reason why this whole battery thing is disabled. Which means that if that is what goes, then that means that these batteries maybe are good. And so if you were to find a battery that doesn't work on a laptop, but you take it apart and all the cells are good, they have good voltage and they have good capacity and they're not completely, you know, past their cycle life, then that might be an indication that maybe the little circuit board, the BMS, is the cause of the problem as a computer battery. All right, so that's scenario one. Another scenario might be where maybe one of the cells is defective. And so if one of these cells starts burning energy, for example, then gets out of balance from the other one, then the circuit's designed to completely disable the battery for safety reasons, right? And so then if you take one of these batteries apart, and then two of these groups have good voltage, but one group is like completely dead, which is fairly common, that happens, then there's a possibility that maybe it was a defect on one of the batteries and the BMS circuit did its job and disabled the battery. Another scenario is, of course, that all the cells work perfectly fine and they went up and down, they got discharged, they recharged, and they went through all of the cycles, and then the BMS basically reached its cycle limit when it's supposed to disable the battery, and then that's what happens. If that happens, then I would also explain why if you take a dead laptop battery and all the cells are good, they have good capacity and they have a good voltage, then that might be the reason why. It's just it reached the termination of life that was designed into the circuit board. So there are different reasons why you would find cells with still some life in them in a dead laptop battery. Now, another one of the big questions is that people have asked is, which are the best laptop batteries to buy? And of course, that's kind of a hard question to answer, but a rule of thumb is a good quality and name brand laptop batteries will have good name brand cells. You could buy really cheap, inexpensive replacement laptop batteries here. I'm gonna put a link here and then here on Amazon and then on eBay. The problem with buying those is that even though the cells might be new, you really don't know where they come from. You don't know the factory that makes them. They don't have a brand or reputation. And so they might even be worse than, an old, close to end of life, like good quality Sanyo cell like this one. Or this is a Samsung cell. This is, another Samsung, an LG, a Sony. And so I wouldn't recommend buying the really inexpensive replacement laptop batteries to extract cells from, because you don't know where those cells are coming. And let me tell you, this form factor here, the 18650, is among the form factor that has the least amount of failure rate, right? It's astronomically low, according to some studies that NASA did, because these are manufactured mass quantities, right? They're manufactured in mass quantities in the billions. Whereas, for example, these guys, which are the LiPo lithium polymer on this, these have a super high failure rate. This one, for example, it is not A quality, right? It's not A grade, it's B grade. But I bought this and it's pretty much been sitting on my desk. I used it a few times to fly that helicopter. I haven't abused it. I haven't used it outside of the recommended usage. And look, this one is like, it's puffy, which means that it's not good. It's not gonna last very long. It's actually be dangerous having it here on my desk. So lipos are dangerous, not because of the chemistry, it's just because of the low quantities that they're manufactured in, and because their failure rate is so high. And so these lipo things and these are not the same thing. These are a completely different ball game as far as safety and failure rates. And so yeah, don't just think that because people say the lipos are like super dangerous, it means that these guys are also really dangerous. They are dangerous, they're not in the same level. All right, hopefully I answered that question. Stay tuned for next video in which I'll attempt to answer one of the frequently asked questions about harvesting cells from dead laptop batteries. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave some comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels. Also think about becoming our patron by following the Patreon link. And don't forget to follow me on social media. All right, guys. See you guys tomorrow.